The story of the Dyatlov Pass incident begins with a group of 9 intrepid ski hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, who embarked on what they hoped would be an exhilarating winter expedition across the Ural Mountains in January 1959. The group was composed of 8 men and 2 women, all students or recent graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They were experienced in the art of skiing and mountaineering, which made the journey seem like a reasonable challenge for them.
Exactly. The group was comprised of people in their early 20s, with the exception of one member, Semyon Zolotaryov, who was a bit older. They were all well prepared and equipped for the conditions they would face in the mountains. Their expedition was meant to cover about 190 miles over a few weeks, taking them through the rugged and largely uninhabited regions of the northern Urals.
And their goal was to reach Mount Otorten. The route itself was categorized as a Category 3, which was the most difficult rating at the time. This wasn't just a leisurely hike, it was a serious endeavor that required skill and experience. But for this group, it was also a test of endurance and camaraderie.
Yes, and they set out with high spirits. They even documented their journey with diaries and photographs, which later became crucial records of what transpired. Despite the harsh winter conditions, there was a sense of excitement and adventure among them as they began their journey from the town of Ivdel.
For days, the students' families waited anxiously. When there was no word from the group, concerns escalated. A search party was quickly organized. What can you tell us about those first moments when the rescue team reached the site?
The search team, which included volunteers, local Mansi hunters, and eventually the Soviet military, faced harsh conditions. On February 26, 1959, they discovered the group's camp on the eastern slope of Kholat Shakal. The scene was both perplexing and alarming. The tent had been slashed open from the inside, as if the hikers had made a frantic escape.
Leaving their belongings behind in such a rush suggests extreme urgency. What did they find outside the tent?
Leading away from the tent, there was a trail of footprints in the snow, made by people wearing only socks or even bare feet. The tracks led into the wilderness towards the edge of a forest nearly a mile away. It was there, at the forest's edge, where the first bodies were found. This discovery added to the growing mystery, as it highlighted the apparent suddenness and severity of whatever had prompted such a desperate flight.
Let's dive into the bizarre physical evidence found at the scene. What do we know about the injuries suffered by the hikers?
The injuries were indeed perplexing. Some of the hikers sustained severe trauma, comparable to what you'd expect from a car crash. For instance, 2 members of the group had significant chest fractures, yet there were no external wounds. It was as if the force was applied from the inside out, which is unusual in a wilderness setting.
And there were other unsettling details, right? Things that only deepened the mystery.
Absolutely. Perhaps the most disturbing were the missing eyes and tongue found on one of the hikers. Now, some researchers suggest these could be attributed to natural scavengers or decomposition, but it's still a deeply unsettling discovery. Adding to the strangeness, some of the clothing found on the hikers showed traces of radiation, though the source and significance of this remains unexplained. The official investigation did not offer a conclusive explanation for these anomalies, leaving room for much speculation.
So, the Soviet investigation into the Dyatlov Pass incident has been a significant point of discussion for decades. What do we know about how it was conducted?
The investigation was initiated quite some time after the hikers were reported missing. When it finally began, there was a lot of secrecy surrounding it, which is not entirely unusual given the era and location. The official findings were published in 1959, but many details were sparse.
And what did the official report conclude?
The official conclusion was that the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. This vague terminology has fueled a lot of theories because it doesn't specify what kind of natural force. The report didn't address several perplexing details, like the state of the bodies or the strange injuries, leaving many questions unanswered.
Let's dive into one of the more recent theories that tries to explain the Dyatlov Pass incident with natural causes. In 2021, researchers Johann Gaume and Alexander Puzrin published a study proposing a katabatic wind-induced slab-avalanche scenario. What's the gist of their argument?
The Garm-Puzrin study suggests that a specific type of avalanche could have occurred. A slab avalanche is where a cohesive plate of snow breaks away and slides down a slope. They argue that katabatic winds, which are strong, cold downslope winds, might have triggered this. These winds could have displaced the top layer of snow, causing it to fracture and slide.
So, how does this fit with what we know about the scene and the injuries to the hikers?
The study posits that the pressure from this kind of avalanche could account for some of the blunt force trauma observed on the bodies, like rib fractures. However, it doesn't fully explain the timing of events, since the hikers left their tent in a hurry and ended up scattered, and it doesn't address the lack of overt avalanche debris at the site. It's a compelling theory, but not exhaustive in covering every detail of the incident.
Now, let's explore another theory that's been floated around, the infrasound hypothesis. It's quite intriguing, isn't it? The idea that sound waves, imperceptible to the human ear, could have played a role in the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Yes, this theory is definitely one of the more unconventional explanations. Infrasound refers to low-frequency sound waves, below the threshold of human hearing. These can be generated by natural phenomena, such as wind passing over the mountains. It's been suggested that these sound waves might cause physical discomfort or even psychological distress in humans.
Right, and the theory posits that the unique topography of the Dyatlov Pass could have created these conditions on that fateful night. Some researchers argue that infrasound could induce a state of panic, causing the hikers to behave irrationally and leave their tent in a hurry. But how strong is the evidence supporting this theory?
The evidence is largely theoretical at this point. While we know infrasound can affect human emotions, there's limited empirical data linking it directly to panic in such extreme conditions. It remains a fascinating possibility, but like many aspects of this mystery, it's difficult to test conclusively.
Let's delve into one of the more controversial theories surrounding the Dyatlov Pass incident. The idea that secret military tests might have played a role in the hikers' mysterious demise.
It's a theory that has garnered quite a bit of attention over the years, Harrison. Some researchers point to the fact that the Ural Mountains, where the incident took place, weren't far from known Soviet military testing grounds. There have been suggestions that parachute mines or other explosive devices could have been tested in the area around the time the hikers were there.
And how do proponents of this theory connect it to the tragedy?
Well, there are a few angles. One, the sound of explosions could have been terrifying enough to cause the group to flee their tent in a panic. Another is the possibility of physical injuries from debris or shockwaves. There's also the official report describing strange orange spheres seen in the sky by other witnesses around the same time, which some speculate could be related to military tests.
As we dive deeper into the more speculative interpretations of the Dyatlov Pass incident, it's important to emphasize that these theories stretch beyond the bounds of conventional explanation.
That's right, Harrison. One of the more outlandish theories involves UFOs. Some researchers point to accounts of strange lights in the sky, suggesting extraterrestrial involvement. This links back to the reports of orange spheres, which, while officially attributed to military tests, have sparked imaginations about alien activity.
Indeed, the idea of extraterrestrial interference often captures the public's fascination, but without concrete evidence, it remains in the realm of speculation. Another theory that has gained traction over the years involves a Yeti, or abominable snowman. Some individuals propose that the hikers encountered such a creature, leading to their mysterious demise.
Yes, the Yeti theory stems largely from the peculiar injuries and lack of animal tracks. However, there's no verifiable evidence supporting the existence of such a creature in the region. These theories, while compelling and intriguing to consider, ultimately lack the rigorous substantiation needed to move them beyond intriguing folklore.
Now, let's delve into one of the more culturally rooted theories surrounding the Dyatlov Pass incident. The area where the tragedy occurred is known to be the traditional territory of the Mansi people. Some have speculated that local legends and folklore might offer a perspective on what happened to the hikers.
That's right, Harrison. The Mansi are an indigenous group native to this region of Russia, and their oral traditions include a variety of legends. One such tale speaks of a sacred mountain that should not be disturbed, which some have linked to the area where the Dyatlov group met their mysterious fate. However, it's important to note that these stories are more about respecting nature rather than direct warnings.
It sounds like this interpretation leans heavily on the symbolic rather than the literal. Have any researchers tried to connect these legends with the incident itself?
Yes, though with caution. While some researchers argue that the Mansi legends might have influenced local perceptions of the event, there's no clear evidence that these tales directly factor into what happened to the hikers. Most experts agree that the legends are part of a broader cultural context rather than a literal explanation.
So, let's dive into one of the more intriguing angles of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The theories that suggest espionage or some form of covert operation might have played a role in the tragedy. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Harrison, this theory is rooted in the Cold War context of 1959, a time when espionage activities were rampant. Some researchers argue that the group might have stumbled upon a secret military test or even been mistaken for spies themselves. The area was known for military testing, and there are reports of unusual lights in the sky around that time, which some speculate could have been military flares or secret technology.
That's fascinating. And the idea of a cover-up, how does that fit into the narrative?
The cover-up theory suggests that authorities may have been involved in a deliberate obfuscation of events. Some researchers point to the initial inaccessibility of files and the swift conclusion of the investigation as possible indicators. Additionally, there are claims that the bodies had traces of radiation, though it's worth noting that the official reports attributed this to naturally occurring sources. Still, the lack of transparent information has fueled these suspicions.
In recent years, there's been a renewed interest in the Dyatlov Pass incident, with advanced technologies being applied to re-examine the evidence. What have these modern investigations uncovered?
Interestingly, new investigations have utilized technologies like 3D modeling and forensic analysis to reassess the events. One notable effort was a study published in 2021 that used a combination of computer simulations and avalanche dynamics to argue that a slab avalanche could have caused the injuries observed on the hikers.
That's fascinating. So does this mean the avalanche theory is now more accepted?
It's gaining traction but isn't universally accepted. Critics point out that the original search reports didn't show clear evidence of an avalanche, such as debris patterns. However, the 2021 study suggests that a specific kind of small, delayed slab avalanche might leave little trace. Meanwhile, other researchers continue to explore alternative theories, like infrasound-induced panic, which some argue could have driven the hikers to flee their tent. Modern technology has certainly enhanced our understanding, but it seems the mystery remains very much alive.
So, what are the unresolved questions that keep the Dyatlov Pass incident such a magnet for intrigue?
Well, Harrison, despite the extensive investigations over the years, significant questions linger. For instance, the exact cause of the hikers' sudden flight from their tent in such dire conditions remains unclear. Was it an avalanche, a military test gone wrong, or something else entirely? Each theory presents its own set of unresolved factors.
And it's not just about the physical evidence, right? There's also the human element, the context that surrounds the hikers' last days.
Exactly. The hikers were experienced, familiar with challenging conditions, which makes their actions puzzling. Furthermore, the inconsistencies in the expedition diary entries and the lack of definitive answers from forensic analysis leave a lot open to interpretation. This, coupled with the remote location and harsh conditions, has created fertile ground for speculation and myth-making.
It seems the combination of mystery, tragedy, and unanswered questions ensures that the Dyatlov Pass incident will continue to captivate and perplex us for years to come. You've been listening to Harrison's Conspiracies. The record is open, the questions stay with you. Until the next one, stay curious.